friends. How are we doing this morning? I have been so excited for today because I'm really excited to play bingo. Let me know what you're reading in the chat. I'm gonna be reading Twist of the Blade. Last night, I guess over the past 2 days, um, I was reading Song of the Marked, and I loved it so stinking much that I decided to just jump right into book two. I stayed up way too late last night until like almost 1 in the morning reading Song of the Marked to finish it because it was like so incredible. I gave it 5 stars, and now I'm derailing my entire TBR to start the second book. So I will explain the rules of reading Sprint Bingo in just a second as well. I just want to give some folks a little bit of time to join and we can chat. We'll talk about the rules and then we'll play. Hannah was supposed to be here. She's not feeling good today, so we're sending her lots of love and hoping that she feels better. But we get to hang and chat and read this morning, and I'm so excited. Hi, Tina. Oh, thank you so much. I love hanging out with you guys too. Still reading Furyborn. Last week, Lucifer's Daughter, and that was really good. Love that. Oh, that's me. Super excited for bingo. Never done reading Sprint Bingo, so I'm excited to participate. I threw up a poll in chat. I'll leave it up for a little bit longer. But I was just curious. I love reading sprint games. I think that they're so fun. And I think like with bingo, if you're trying to get bingo and you have to read like a certain amount of pages, it really helps to like motivate you for the next sprint. Cause I know sometimes as you like continue with sprints, you tend to lose motivation. At least I do. So it's nice to have like a goal. So I thought that would be helpful. Hello, reading Slewfoot, and I'm excited for bingo. I need to read Slewfoot. I've heard that it's really good, so please let me know how you're liking it, Kristen. Reading Ring by Koji Suzuki. Hoping to finish A Taste of Golden Iron, which I have about an hour left in the audiobook. Oh, you'll definitely be able to finish that. That is so exciting. Hello, I'm currently reading Cursed Crowns, a YA fantasy. That sounds like something that I have on my TBR. Let me check. If not, it sounds like something I would read. How are you liking it? Cursed Crowns by Catherine Doyle. Oh, I read the first book in this series. Twin Crowns? Yeah, I got the Fairy Loot edition of Twin Crowns, and that's a book that I feel like never would have been on my radar, but because I got it in Fairy Loot, I read it. And the audiobook was really good, if I remember. And it was really fun. So I need to read. Do I have that? Marked it as want to read. Thank you so much for that reminder. So excited to hear you liked Song of the Mark. I impulsively bought the entire series, Goldsboro edition, and was nervous since I have not heard much about it. Okay, I don't know why more people aren't talking about it. I guess like a lot of people have read it on Goodreads. Oh my gosh, words. Because I was looking last night because I thought the same thing. I was like, why aren't more people talking about Song of the Marked? Because it's glorious, wonderful. It didn't come out too long ago. I think the first book was published in 2020. I am sucked in, like literally love it so much. My only complaint about it is that I was listening to the audiobook for it yesterday, and the audiobook is very different from the ebook and what I'm assuming also like the published version. It seems like the audiobook was like an earlier, less edited or like different edit of the book because I was trying to read along with the audiobook on my ebook, and there were like entire sentences, like paragraphs that were different, and I was like, oh, this is so interesting. But it's so good. It's literally so good. It's about this assassin, and there's old magic, there's like old gods. She has to take this questionable mission from a king because she's trying to like earn money to save her mentor. There's this sickness that's going around and plaguing everybody, and her mentor has this sickness. It's so good. I'm loving it so much. I usually never binge read series as well, but immediately I was like, I need book 2 in this series. Hi, Hi, I'm reading Group by Christy Tate, which is a memoir. UK girly here, so pleased for these sprints in the afternoon. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining, Christy. Hi everyone, starting a kingdom of this cursed and empty. Stayed up to finish book 1 last night. Oh my gosh, love that. I'm doing the same thing. I read Song of the Marked way too late last night. Hello, I have to walk the fur babies first, Neon and Gigi, but I'm switching between Such Sharp Teeth and Serpent and the Wings of Night. I actually just got my audiobook in. I had a hold on Libby for Such Sharp Teeth, so I was thinking about picking that up this week. So please let me know how you're liking it, Serena. And then also, I'm planning on starting Serpent and the Wings of Night either tomorrow or Tuesday. Me and my friend Sarah are going to be reading it together, and I have never been more excited. About 100 pages into Slewfoot, and it's incredible. I think you'll love it. Yeah, I feel like I've heard nothing but good things about Slewfoot, and so many people have read it. Hi, Nicola. I'm 60% through Fourth Wing and loving it so far. Oh my gosh. I need all of your thoughts, Nicola. I love Fourth Wing so much. Hi, Cassidy. I'm so glad you're happy for bingo, or excited for bingo, excuse me. Good morning. A little over halfway in House of Earth and Blood, and I'm loving it. I also saw your Goodreads of Song of the Marked, and then it just jumped up on my TBR. Okay, I was unhinged giving Goodreads all of the updates last night, but seriously, I was gasping. I literally cried. I'm not a big crier in books. I wish I was. Like, I always see stories of the book girlies on, like, Bookstagram, and they're like, oh my gosh, just finished reading this book, and they're like sobbing. That is never me. Like, literally never. Song of the Marked made me cry actual tears from my face, and I was like, that's how you know this is a 5-star. Also, House of Earth and Blood is one of my fave books, so I'm so happy that you're loving that. I actually really liked Twin Crowns. Cursed Crowns not so much. It's still good though. Oh, that's so sad. I feel like second book syndrome is really a thing. Like, the first book, I think I gave Twin Crowns like 3 or 4 stars. It was just like an overall YA fun good time. But like, I wasn't really sure what direction it was going to take for book 2. Like, the plot in book 1 was silly goofy fun time. So it's like there wasn't too much for the second book to like keep going with. It would need to be something a bit separate, but I might still read it. Watching lectures, but in my breaks, I'm reading Sleep by C.L. Taylor. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry that you have to watch lectures, Julie. I'm reading Found, which is an anthology of horror short stories all to do with found footage. That sounds so good. I saw your post, Cassidy, asking for anthology recommendations. I feel like horror short stories are so underrated. Usually with short stories, I can't get like super into them because I feel you like just start to get to know characters, a story, you're getting like comfortable, and then it ends and you have to start a new story. But horror short stories can be really scary. And found footage just makes me think of like Blair Witch Project. Once I finish A Taste of Golden Iron, I'm going to be continuing to read Serpent and Wings of Night. I'm 200 pages into it. I'm so excited. Carissa Broadbent is that girl. This sounds so interesting. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad. What? Hi. Good to know about the audiobook, so that way I can just physically read it instead. Yeah, it was just a little bit like disjointed and disconnected. Not like significantly so. Like, they were saying the same things, but just like more sentences, like different sentences were added in on the audiobook, which was kind of interesting, but it didn't like ruin my reading experience by any means. It's just like when you're following along with an ebook or like physically reading while listening to the audiobook, you're like, oh, this is different. But I was switching between the two, and I didn't find that there was like any issue with it. Hello, reading City of Bones for the first time. I'm a bit intimidated by how big the series is. I feel that. Big series are really intimidating, I think, but once you read like the first 2 books, or even just the first book, returning to the series becomes a lot easier because it's like, oh my gosh, like I already know these characters, I know the plot, I know where we're going, and it can be really fun. Whereas like taking that first step to start a series, like starting with the first book, that's like the scariest part of it. But once you're already in it, that's easy peasy lemon squeezy. You're like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to get back into these books with these characters. And you don't have to really like relearn a lot. The only caveat to that is like if it's a really big series and the author loves to write in new characters with every book, basically Sarah J. Maas, then you're in for like, then you're in for a ride. 300 pages into the secret history, and I'm on the fence. I tried reading that book, probably like a year ago, maybe even 2 years ago, and it was a slow book to get into. I think it's if you're there for like the vibes and the writing style, that's when you're really gonna like a book like that. But plot was kind of just like floating in the background, right? Like the main point of it is like the dark academia vibes. I did read If We Were Villains though, and I really enjoyed If We Were Villains. I want to try it again. I feel like Secret History intimidated me, but like I want to give it another try. Still in my rereading Twilight era. I love that. Oh my gosh, that makes me so excited for you. So nervous about Fourth Wing. I'm gonna be starting it after I finish Serpent and Wings of Night, and I hope I enjoy it, but I don't know. Overhyped books really intimidate me too because like you're expecting it to be so good, like your expectations are so high. I think you'll like it. I don't know. I really enjoyed Fourth Wing. I thought it was so captivating and suspenseful, and I really liked how dragons were incorporated into the story. I really liked the military school aspect of things. I thought that was super, super fun. And you're coming out of like a really good book. So I don't know. I think you'll have a good time. Hello, 233 pages into the Tales from the Shadowhunters Academy. Love that. Also bought the Goldsboro set. Very excited to start. I've heard people complain about it being too similar to SJM. I don't care either way, but you know how controversial that topic can be. Okay. There is some overlap between just like elements of the story of Song of the Marked to Throne of Glass. But in my opinion, as you continue with the story, it really differentiates itself from Throne of Glass. And I would also, I mean, coming from someone who I really liked the first 3 books of Throne of Glass, I just read the 4th book and I wasn't like in love. And I know that that's kind of controversial, but coming from someone who like Throne of Glass isn't like my epitome of like best books ever, I could see that there was overlap, but I thought that it stood on its own very well. And if you just don't go into it like comparing it to Throne of Glass, I think you'll really enjoy Song of the Marked. Yeah, I completely agree. Horror, it's easier to be like involved for a short period of time, get your spooks, like get your thrills out of it, and then just like switch to something else. Whereas a fantasy, you're gonna be so much more invested in the characters and the plotline that it's like more difficult to transition to another story. Oh my gosh. Stolen Tongues was one of the scariest books that I've ever read. I did read it. I think I gave it 5 stars. If you want to be scared, read Stolen Tongues by Felix Blackwell. It is so creepy. About to start Scandalous Confessions of Lydia Bennett. Love that. What would you recommend to people who loved Fourth Wing other than SJM? I guess my question for you would be like, what are you looking for? Are you looking for something that's really suspenseful, high stakes, or are you looking for like a really good dragon story? Because I think like coming out of Fourth Wing, or like if Fourth Wing was one of like your favorite books, that people love like different things about Fourth Wing that really sucked them in. So that would be my question to you before I give you recommendations. Because like really good dragon books, my like top tier dragon book, I loved how they were incorporated into the story was Priory of the Orange Tree. I know that it's like super, super chunky, but it just did dragons so well, and I absolutely loved it. Um, but I can recommend some like high suspense, high fantasy books for you. It just depends on what you're looking for. Hello from Houston. I just finished a book I got on Stuff Your Kindle Day called Cursed Ever After, and it was surprisingly good. Sorry, I couldn't read that for a second. I'm going to work on finishing Slaying the Vampire Conqueror. Oh my gosh, Erin, I hope you love Slaying the Vampire Conqueror. I loved it so much. I haven't read Fourth Wing, but setting and plot sounds very similar to the Aurelian Cycle by Rosaria Munda. I've seen this series. I think I have it on my want to read list. I've actually heard really good things about it, and I need to get to it. Dragons and Romance. Okay. Yeah, I think the Aurelian Cycle is a really good recommendation. If you liked the romance of Fourth Wing, that's interesting. So, like, I just read The Darkening by Sunya Mara, and that is a YA romance. So it's not going to be as like spicy as Fourth Wing, but there were like sparring scenes. And I don't know about y'all, but the sparring scenes in Fourth Wing like really got me. So The Darkening by Sonia Mara has like the sparring scenes, which was cute. I'm trying to think of what others have like training scenes together because that was like some of my favorite in Fourth Wing. I mean, if you want like a high suspense fantasy romance, the reason why I loved Song of the March so much was because it was like very high suspense. It's also like a captain of the guard or like right hand man of the guard type romance. And it was like he was commanding armies, which Xaden does. So like there's that. I was just about to recommend another one as well. No, One Dark Window doesn't have training scenes. Let me try to come up with what's another good dragon book romance. Let me think. I've been trying to search out actually like some good books that have dragons in it besides Priory of the Orange Tree. Chat if you have any good dragon book recs besides Aurelian Cycle, please drop them in chat. I would say Fear the Flames, but Fear the Flames wasn't like it was good, not great. And there were dragons, but like not as much as I would have liked in the first book. I think the second book there will be more dragons. The romance was cute though. Fear the Flames might be a good one for you actually, Sarah. Priory is so intimidating. I know it looks intimidating, but it's actually like one of the best books that I've ever read. And I still need to read Day of Fallen Night. And the way the dragons are done in Priory is just so good. Each book in the series 5 stars. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, yes. Also, Slaying the Shadow Prince has really good training scenes together as well. Oh my gosh, thank you, Sophie. I need to read Blood and Steel. I bought the physical copy. I'm so excited to read it. Fireborn is amazing, but I will say the dragons are more like horses than actual characters. That's the difficult part about like dragon books is that there's like each book has its own take, obviously, like as they should, but dragons like horses. Sometimes their dragons are more like animals in a book, whereas I think Fourth Wing did a really good job of making them like actual characters, like you're saying, Cassidy. Serpent on the Wings of Night is also comparable to Fourth Wing in romance, in my opinion. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, I've been meaning to read A Dawn of Onyx. Has good banter the way Fourth Wing does, but it's not like 100% all the time fave for me. I know Rachel from Raven-Haired Reader also read A Dawn of Onyx, and she really liked that as well. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Side note, I got the hardcover of Priory of the Orange Tree. Tell me why they made the pages so stiff to the point that it's actually uncomfortable to read. That's big sad. I got the paperback for Priory of the Orange Tree, but what's killing me is that they still haven't released, at least like not that I can find, the paperback version of Day of Fallen Night. I think Amazon has told me the paperback version is gonna come out in February of next year. But I'm like dying to read it. But also, if the book is that chunky, I'm not gonna pick up the hardcover for it. Like, I'm looking for as comfortable a read as possible, even though I'm gonna be getting an arm workout holding that book, but I want to annotate it. So like I really want the physical version. The Flame King's Captive has dragon riders, but it's very spicy slash Omegaverse. Interesting. Thanks for the dragon book, Rex, y'all. Y'all are coming for it. Okay, let's quickly talk about reading sprint bingo and how it's going to work, and then we will get into our first sprint. So if you don't have the bingo board, this is it. If you want to like either take a picture, I do also have it linked in the description box below as well. And I think I put it up on my Instagram story too. So we're going to do our sprints. And that middle space is a free space, as it usually is with bingo. And then after you finish your sprint, however many pages you read or like got the closest to, that's the box that you will mark off. So if you read, we'll bring this back. So if you read 30 pages, like the top left-hand corner, or if you read like 31 or 32 pages, or like 29 or 28 pages, you can mark off that 30 pages. I do have a couple that are like the same because obviously we're going to be doing 30-minute sprints. So I feel like most people read around like a page a minute, but then obviously if you're a super speedy reader, there's like 50 pages, 45 pages, 25 pages, 10 pages if it's a more chill sprint for you. So we'll see who gets bingo. If you get bingo, please let us know in the chat. Scream out bingo. And then if you want to tag me in your Instagram stories that you like got bingo with your bingo board marked off, I will like repost your story to my Instagram story because I thought that would be fun too. So that way you guys get like a shout out if you're winning bingo. And let me pull up our ambient room. It's a very fall inspired ambient room today, which hopefully we're excited about. And since I was reading fantasy, I am going to be reading fantasy. I figured this would be a really cutie little window view for some fantasy books. So we will get started with our first 30-minute sprint. Happy reading, everybody, and best of luck on your bingo boards. Hi, friends. How was our first sprint? If you're playing bingo, make sure to mark off your bingo board. Sorry if my connection's bad. It's saying that my Wi-Fi is really low. Hello, anyone who's just joining us. I read 42 pages. If you'd like to drop in the chat how many pages you read, I am just going to draw on my bingo board for a hot sec. I'm obsessed with my book, y'all. It is so good. The male love interest calls her Thorn because she's just constantly a thorn in his side, and I love it so much. If you're just joining us, let us know what you're going to be reading. Hi, Cami. How are you? Hi, Abby. I read 30 pages. A Taste of Golden Iron. I'll def finish in the next sprint. Love that. 31 pages. Oh, thank you so much. I did my heatless curls last night. Y'all, heatless curls changed my whole world. I don't have to do my hair anymore. It's so nice. I just take it out in the morning. Ross makes fun of me because he's like, this is you in your true form with like my heatless curl thing. My hair basically looks like Martha Washington when I go to sleep. I'm like, this is not my true form. Read 50 pages. That is awesome. This was a good sprint for all of us. It looks like 20 pages, 10 pages since it's so fall like outside. I took an extra long walk with my dogs. I love that. Read 37 pages of only one left. 44 pages of group. This memoir is sad. Oh no. Hopefully you can balance it out with like a happy book. Sometimes when you're reading a really sad book, it's nice to have a complete opposite that you're like reading in the background that you can switch to. Girl, can I have your brain? 80 pages. I need to make you like a separate bingo board because the most I have is 50 pages. I'm so sorry. Actually, next time too, I was thinking about this last night. These are like my late night thoughts. I meant to make a bingo board that had like percentages as well, in case anyone was listening to an audiobook or like an ebook that didn't have page numbers. Like sometimes it just has location numbers or something weird. So next time I'm going to make a bingo board that has percentages as well. That way, if you need it, you have that option. So I'm sorry that I didn't have that available for this time. Currently editing, but hoping to make it back to Vespertine soon. I need to edit later today. I did a 24-hour readathon this weekend. That was literally so much fun. There's a new release. It's like a Halloween romance novella that's super witchy. It's called Spookily Yours. It was only like 240 pages and it was so stinking cute. That was like one of my best reads of the weekend besides Song of the Marked. Vespertine, I love Margaret Rogerson. Like she's one of my favorite authors, but Vespertine wasn't my favorite of hers. Not to like put out bad vibes for the book that you're reading, but I'd be curious to hear what you think of it, Abby. And I hope that editing is going well. 30 pages. Oh my gosh, thank you so much. Yeah, when I sleep, I'm in I like slug my face so that I'm all nice and moisturized and I sleep like Martha Washington with my hair. It's just a whole vibe if I do say so myself. I'm reading an ebook with percentages, so that would be great. I did a bit of math to get my page number. Yeah, I know that math is not a fun thing to do early in the morning. I don't know if it's early in the morning for you. It's like 9 a.m. here, but next time I will have those two options. And then I'm going to try to come up with like other sprint games because I just think it's so fun to be able to talk about like how the game is going for us or like getting bingo and stuff like that. I just think it adds like just something fun to do to sprint. So I'm gonna put my creative cap on and keep thinking of some games. I think that I have. Let me know. Are the UK covers the ones with the graphics of like, what do you call it? Like the girls on the covers? Because there's two different ones. One's like a super basic cover, and one's like these. Oh, sorry about my ring light. Is this the UK version? Please let me know. Or let me try to find like the other version. I just don't know which is which. Here's the other one. But like the one with the girl on it is so much better. These are so boring. Like I really need to order the physical copies of these books because I'm literally loving them so much. It might be a 5-star. I've been having so much fun. It's made me laugh out loud a couple times, and the main character is so relatable. Any book that's making you like literally LOL or cry or feel angry, like that's probably a 5-star read, because if it's making you feel some type of way, clearly the author is doing a good job. Oh, okay. So at least you don't have to do math early in the morning, which is good. And I'm also watching a rugby game, actually. Rugby men are a total vibe. You love F1 as well. I think we were talking about this last sprint, and rugby. You're just like all about the sports that have really hottie hot players, huh? No, we have the boring ones. I feel like they are all of the UK bookshops right now. I feel like I haven't seen Song of the Marked in bookshops around me. I have to like more seriously look for it because I was gonna order them on Amazon, but Amazon only has the hardcover for the first book, and then all of the other ones are paperback, and that's really gonna bother me. So I need to figure out how I want to purchase these and how to get the covers that I want. These sprints are great, by the way. Thank you so much. I guarantee time to read. Also, because of last week's sprints, I am now a Formula One fan. Oh my gosh, I love that. I was sick towards the end of the week and watched all 5 seasons on Netflix. Cami, if she's still in the chat, she's probably so happy. And Rachel's probably really happy as well. Yes, rugby and F1/F2 are my favorite sports. Oh my gosh, I love that. I need to watch that show that we were talking about on Netflix. Yes. F1 fans. To be fair, like I don't really watch a lot of TV. If I'm in my free time, if I'm doing anything, I'm usually reading. Um, but I've been trying to make a very concerted effort to watch a lot of like Halloween stuff this season, because I feel like Halloween movies are just such a vibe. But I need to get into that F1 show that we were talking about. I've seen those covers with the girl on the cover for Song of the Marked only on the audiobooks. Oh, that's so annoying because those are like the prettiest covers. I like the graphic covers. Like, I don't like the ones that are super basic with just like the words on the cover. I'm big sad. But anyways, let's get into our second sprint. We'll do another 30 minutes. And I think some people might get bingo for this next sprint, which is very exciting. Okay. Happy reading, everybody. How was sprint number 2 for everybody? Let me see how many pages I read. Math is hard to do in my head. 33 pages. How did everybody else do? I am so into this book. It's actually insane. It just as things were same for my book as well. I really appreciate in a book where the main character, like, she has powers and stuff like that, but she's not like overpowered to the point where you know that she's just gonna like win every single fight. Like, she still has a lot of struggles, and that's what makes it so suspenseful when you're reading like really tension, action-packed battle scenes, because you're really not sure if she's going to like win. I really appreciate that in my books. Like, put me through it, make me stressed. I will be a happy reader. What did I say? 33 pages. Did anyone get bingo with that last sprint? This is mine so far. I thought I was going to get closer to 35 pages and get my first bingo, but I marked it as closer to 30 pages than 35. Okay, let's see. I read almost 80, 90 pages and I finished Cursed Crowns. Okay, what was the final rating for Cursed Crowns? And I need to make you a separate bingo board for like the number of pages that you're reading. Although I feel like when I was reading Twin Crowns, I did listen to that audiobook like really fast because number one, the narrators were very slow readers, and number two, it was just very easy to like comprehend. But if you're reading physically and you just like read that fast normally, my brain could never. 31 pages of Serpent and Wings of Night. That name is just so long. I just want to call it Serpent. 30 minutes goes by so fast when you're enjoying your book. I love a female main character you can get behind wholeheartedly. Absolutely. Absolutely. 25 pages. I think I might finish next sprint. Yay! 15 pages. That's awesome. 30 pages, Taste of Golden Iron. I gave it 4.5 stars. I so badly want an epilogue. It's so good. I just want more. That's so interesting. Let me know in the chat. Are you guys fans of an epilogue or not? I'm not a fan of an epilogue. I just don't like it. I feel like it takes away from the power of like an ending, especially if it's not the last book in a series. The last book in a series, I think I could get behind an epilogue a little bit more, but like these romance books, especially if it's like a standalone book, if it has an epilogue, it's always just talking about how like the main characters like got married and like had babies for the most part. And then if it's a fantasy book, it just like extends like the happily ever after. But it's like, couldn't you have done that in the actual book and not in the epilogue? I don't know. That might be an unpopular opinion, but I am just not a fan of epilogues. 42 that time, halfway through, forgot how much harder it is to read nonfiction for me. Yeah, nonfiction can be a little bit harder to like just fly through. 45 pages. I need to do, okay, next time we play Sprint Bingo, I am going to make one that's percentages for audiobook and ebook readers. And then I'm also going to make a bingo board with just like higher page counts, because I didn't realize that we're all speedy readers over here. 26 pages for Spicy Scene. Oh my gosh, I love that book so much. Slaying the Vampire Conqueror is our Who Did This to You book club book pick. I run a book club on Fable. It is linked in the description box below if you would like to join us. We're going to be voting on our November book very soon, and we read fantasy romance together, and it's a really good time. I got bingo. Yay. 30 pages times 2 and the free space. Oh my gosh. Congratulations, Stephanie. I think you are our first bingo winner. Kristen, bingo too. Oh my gosh. All right, I want to get bingo. Good job, Chaos Reads. Final thoughts, good overall, but I did not like some things about the plot, plus the love triangle, 3 out of 5. Yeah. Yes, Kimberly, good job. I pretty much hate epilogues. Okay, I'm glad that I'm not the only one. Servant is a fitting shortening of the title. Like, I get it. I also like that the title is very unique. Like, it's not just like, um, Shadows and Crowns, blank of blank and blank. Like, I like that the title is unique, but at the same time, it's just very long. So I'm gonna call it Serpents. And then the other book I just call Ashes, because it's like Ashes and the Cursed King or whatever it is. I just call it Ashes. Love epilogues. That's fair. What makes you love them? Like, you like getting that little bit more with characters? I'm reading as fast as an F1 car when I read an ebook. 100%. Epilogues are hit or miss for me. I don't really like them in thrillers because they often undo everything that was done in the book itself. I'm trying to think if I've ever come across an epilogue in a thriller or a horror book. Personally, I don't think I have, but I can totally understand what you're talking about. I think that's so interesting. I feel like epilogues are usually in romances or like fantasies, but I might be wrong. You especially love epilogues. Oh my gosh. I love an epilogue. It's like a deleted scene. That's true. It's like a deleted scene. Sometimes it's needed, sometimes not needed. Love epilogues, but only for certain books. Yeah, I feel some ruin the book, and I would rather be left with my own conclusions I've made. Yeah. I think I formed my strong opinion on epilogues when I was reading the Ravenhood series, which is like a dark romance series, because the whole entire third book in that series is an epilogue. And I was like, I hated this. It like ruined the rest of the series for me. I would have been fine stopping at the second book and like the kind of conclusion that we got there, given the conclusion was very open-ended. But like a whole third book added to a series as an epilogue, not my cup of tea. Hi, Mariah. Just joined. Happy to be here. Get some reading done. I love epilogues, especially in romance books. Y'all are so funny. I'm like, not for me. And y'all are like, we love an epilogue. I don't think I've read enough books with epilogues to really form an opinion. I just wanted a little more from the ending from this one. I don't know. I just think like, why not work something into the ending of a book as opposed to tacking on like an extra chapter that's like 1 year later or like 6 months later or whatever it is. Thank you, Drew. I like them when they're a few years later. I don't know, it just, like, lessens an ending for me. I just checked in Sleep It has an epilogue, curious to see what I'll think about that, yes. Yay, done editing and now you can read. That is perfect because we're gonna get into sprint number 3. And hopefully I get bingo this time. Okay, let me know if you're aiming for a specific box to get bingo. I could read either 35 or 30 pages and get bingo. So we love to see that. And I'm excited to get back into my book because things are getting juicy. Happy third sprint. Thank God for audiobooks because I was scrolling on Instagram for a lot of that sprint, but I was listening to my audiobook. Now though, I just have to figure out how many pages I read so I can mark my bingo board. But how was that sprint for you all? Did anyone else get bingo? I'm now up to page 106 in my book, and we started on page 0 at the beginning of these sprints. So this has been quite productive. Let's see. Trying to catch up on my chat and mark my bingo board. Cleaning right now, so it's just fun to hear us chat. Absolutely. I love to have like videos. I mean, I watch like Twitch streamers. I constantly have YouTube on in the background. I also, just like you said, love watching sprints and just like hearing people be chatty. I think it's so fun. So I'm glad you joined, Drew, and I hope that cleaning is going well. What page was I on last time? I think I read about 35 pages for the sprint, so I officially got my first bingo. Right down the middle. Love to see it. I think there's something wrong with me because here I am reading Serpent and there's just no emotional impact for me. Oh no. How have you read any of Carissa Broadbent's other books, and how did those goes? How did those goes? How did those go for you? I feel like Carissa Broadbent is an author for me that like I just connect with her books and her writing style. I think that she's fantastic. Like I have loved every book that I've read of hers. I read the entire War of Lost Hearts trilogy. I really loved those books. Read Slaying the Vampire Conqueror. That was a 5-star for me. I just really connect with her writing. That is totally fine, Tina. I hope you enjoy your last couple pages. Read about 20 pages since I took a break from the book. That is okay. Hopefully when you return to it, you start liking it a little bit more. 30 pages. Switch it up. Oh my gosh. I love One Dark Window. I hope that you love it. Also, oh my gosh, this week is going to be such a fantastic week, and we're all going to have a good week on purpose. Just putting that out there into the universe for all of us. But this is the week that Two Twisted Crowns comes out, and that is the second book in One Dark Window series. And I pre-ordered it, and I'm so excited. I cannot wait to read it. I just remembered that. Actually, it looks like my TBR for this week is really just going to get derailed because I wasn't planning on starting the book that I'm currently reading, Twist of the Blade, but like I had no choice. I physically had to jump into it because I had to know what happens. So this was deterring from my TBR, straying from my TBR, and then I don't think I factored in the fact that Two Twisted Crowns comes out this week. My TBR for the week was going to be reading more vampire books, which I am going to do. I am going to start Serpent and the Wings of Night on Monday, but it looks like this week is going to be a bunch of stunning fantasy romance books, which we love to see. Made it to chapter 4. Oh my gosh, Mariah, how are you liking that book? I love that book. It's very creepy. It's very gothic. I love gothic writing. So like that book just did it for me. It's so weird in the best ways. Yay! Congratulations, Bethany. We had some very productive sprints. And you had the same problem. Maybe Carissa Broadbent just isn't for you. Maybe you just don't connect with her characters and her writing, which is so sad. She's one of my favorite authors, but that's okay. We all have authors that we love and that just aren't for us. 29 pages into the sermon. This is exactly what I was looking for. I love how quickly she throws you into the story. I hope the pace is sustained. Oh my gosh, one sec. Sorry about that. Absolutely. I love that she just throws you into the story. I'm so excited to start that book this week. 35 pages and bingo. This book is about people in group therapy and is genuinely super interesting. That's interesting. And that you said that one's a nonfiction as well. I love her writing and plots, but I just could not care less for the characters and their journey. It sucks because I want to be immersed and absolutely love her books. That's so interesting. Is there something about the characters that really like gets you? Like, can you pinpoint what you're not loving? I was trying to read The Darkening by Sonia Mara this past weekend. It's a YA fantasy romance. And I couldn't connect with the female main character, which was really sad because I had the Fairy Loot edition of that book and it's gorgeous. And I'm selling it off my Pango now because I'm like, someone will love this book. So I'm going to sell it to someone who is going to love it and appreciate it. But it was a female main character who was just so useless. Like sometimes YA books do this where in the first, like 10% of the book, the main character just like loses everything. Family, friends, safety, the feeling of home, like they just lose everything. But rather than like fighting to save everything that she was losing, all she was doing was like running around in despair and like not doing anything. And it was supposed to be that like empathetic pull to the reader to be like, oh my gosh, like feel bad for her, right? Like, how is she going to get out of this? How is she going to solve these like problems now that she's completely alone? But I really didn't have sympathy for her or empathy or anything because I just thought it was so annoying that she was like running around literally doing nothing when she could have been doing so much more. So I ended up DNFing that book. Just my opinion though. Like I'm sure that people love that book, but that's one thing I know about myself, that if a main character just comes off as like they can't do anything to like help themselves and like help others, it really like annoys me sometimes and I don't connect with that. So I'm curious what Carissa Broadbent writes in her characters that might be like the thing for you. Only got about 20-ish pages read as I finished my first book and wanted to write a review before I forgot everything. Oh my gosh, words. That is fair. That is so fair. I feel like my reading comprehension after I finish a book, down the drain. I don't remember like character names, anything like that. I just remember like how the book made me feel. And that's that. I only got through 18 pages this time because my reading partners, my two dogs, needed a potty break. Oh my gosh. I have let me lift you up for a second and put this down. I have my reading partner here as well. He's been sleeping this whole time and he's being so snuggly. Rain in the Serpent is my main dude. Oh my goodness. So the characters on paper should be everything for me, but it's really just the emotional impacts of the story that don't land. I find myself laughing instead of being sad or whatnot. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. It's very dramatic for no reason. Certain lines I feel are written in a way that's overly dramatic that takes me into the story. Yeah, no, there's nothing wrong with you. That's fair. I feel like that's what was happening to me in Throne of Glass. Like I felt that there were certain emotional pulls that were supposed to like pull in the reader that just felt like a little bit too much for me, that instead of like pulling me in, it actually like turned me away. I'm still reading that series. I'm on Empire of Storms, but I feel similarly because I don't feel like I have the same emotional connection to the Throne of Glass characters that like I wish that I had, but I still want to read it to like find out what happens, you know? So nothing wrong with you. 50% into Furyborn. The story keeps getting better. I want to read, but I also want to watch a series with the family. Hard decision. Well, to be honest, it's 10:20. I have work at 11, unfortunately, that I need to log in for. So I think that was our last sprint. I was going to try to squeeze in one more, but we've been very chatty for these sprints, which has been super fun. So I think that's going to be our last sprint. Not related to my book, but I used an ambient room in my classroom this week after getting the idea from your sprints, and it was a game changer. The kids are so obsessed. Oh my gosh, I'm so happy. I feel like, okay, when I was in school, teachers never used like ambient rooms or anything like that. I love them so much. Like, I really feel like it helps me focus when I'm trying to do a task. Like, even when I'm not reading, I tend to have like either an ambient room or lo-fi in the background because it just like helps me focus. And now I find that I actually don't like doing anything in complete silence. Whereas before I discovered ambient rooms, so like a couple years ago at this point, I could only read when there was like dead silence. And it's like, when do you ever have dead silence outside of if you're in like a library or something like that? But I feel like ambient rooms have really just made my brain very happy. So I'm so happy that like you tried it in your classroom and your kids really love it. I have a whole playlist saved on my YouTube. I think it's a hidden playlist. I don't maybe it's not. If it is, I can unhide it and make it not a private playlist, but I've just like saved a bunch of ambient rooms that are my favorite. I have one that's like ambient music because I do like when I'm reading a fantasy book to have like medieval lo-fi or like stuff that just has no lyrics in it. But for sprints, you can't use like music because of copyright stuff. So I have another one that's just like non-copyright ASMR rooms. And I really like it. So yeah, I can unprivate those playlists if you guys want some like options. Didn't connect to the female main character of Daughter of No Worlds, so I'm most likely not going to finish the series. Yeah, that's fair. But the first 70 pages of The Serpent hooked me. I love the perceived weakling being underestimated. Absolutely agree. Yeah, with Kristen Broadbent's books, I feel like if you don't emotionally connect with her characters, especially female main characters, if I'm going by the War of Lost Hearts trilogy, like you just aren't going to enjoy the rest of the books because they're so heavily geared towards female main character emotional impact and male main character actually as well. If you aren't a fan, Mariah, of Serpent, or like it just didn't like hit with you, I'm not sure that you're going to love Daughter of No Worlds. Because everyone says like Serpent, the Crowns of Nyaxia series is like a better written series. I mean, it's a later series from Carissa Broadbent, and as we would hope, like authors improve with each book and each series that they're writing. So if you didn't love Serpent, I'm not sure that you would love Daughter of No Worlds. Yes, that's so cute. I wish my teachers did that. Of course. Thank you so much for joining, Tina. Company is A plus. Your company is A plus. Thank you so much. Love her writing in terms of plots and worlds are super unique and interesting. So I think I'm always going to read from her. I just have to accept that maybe I won't connect emotionally. Yeah, so far when I read Slaying the Vampire Conqueror, I loved her vampire world so much. I felt like she really did. Vampire books can get a bit like stale, you know what I mean? Like there's a lot of overlap of things that maybe you can't change about vampires. But I thought that Slaying the Vampire Conqueror, she did a really good job making that world pretty unique. So that was really good. Silence is too loud for me, absolutely. I need noise. Yep. I listened to a playlist on Spotify called The Deep Dark Indie. Ooh, I'll have to look that one up. Yeah, 100%. But thank you so much for joining me, my friends. I hope that you had fun today. I had so much fun with y'all. We will continue to play book bingo. I'll try to think of a couple other like reading sprint games that we can play as well. But I will see you next week for sprints, and hopefully I will see you on Thursday because I have a new video going up. But thank you so much for hanging out with me this morning, afternoon or night, whatever time it is for you. And I will see y'all very soon. Bye-bye. I hope you have a wonderful week.